Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
I don't know who our audience is, but um, I'm Christina Cantrell at the National Writing Project, and
I'm Mia Zamora from Kane University Writing Project.
yay! And we're here today because Mia is working on a collection for the NWP's Digital Is website. And we thought, well, you know, it's a work in progress. It's sort of, let's say,
Yes.
would you say halfway there, Mia? What would you say?
I think it's evolving, but it's almost done except for a few little pragmatic tweaks, and then a little sort of frame paragraph needs to be added. But certainly we've thought this through for a while now.
Right. So it's almost there, and we thought we were going to talk about you know, getting it to the finish line, and we thought this would be maybe of interest to other people who might be working on collections. But let me just do 2 seconds on Digital Is, if that's okay.
Yep, that sounds good.
So here's the work in progress that we're working on. You can see it's a collection. It's called a collection, and it's in draft mode. So you won't be able to see it right now. Mia and I can see it, but no one else can see it. But can you see my screen being shared, Mia?
Yes, I can. I can see everything. Yeah.
So this is the NWP Digital Is website. If you are not familiar with it, it's a site for bringing together reflections, inquiries, stories about digital literacy and connected learning. Mia here is a regular blogger. We have blogs on the site, and if you click on the blogs link, you'll see Mia just recently actually posted a blog. So we have many educators who blog about their experiences with digital literacy and connected learning. We have educators who are developing resources in here. Some of these are draft and in progress resources. Zombie resources sometimes show up. All of these are drafts right now that people are working on that I can see because I'm logged in here as administrator. But then we have you know, regular resources about practice and inquiry and questions about the work people are doing and pulled together research. And these resources collect in the site and are amazing sort of collections of rich content and learning and meaning making about digital literacy and connected learning. And then these resources and the blogs can be pulled together in collections. And these collections cross a variety of topics, but we kind of organize them around some main themes: teaching and learning, art and craft, and provocations. And if you look at any of these collections, you'll see that they pull together kind of one person's, or in this case, two people's, Antero Garcia and Clifford Lee, wrote about popular culture 2.0, and they wrote kind of a blog entry here. And then they pulled together a bunch of resources that are available in the Digital Is collection. So here you can see related resources to what they're writing about. And if we go visit one of these resources, you'll see that it takes us directly to a resource created by another educator. So our goal at Digital Is to have, you know, blogs, resources, and collections all kind of intermingling together and you know, constantly sort of developing our knowledge base together about digital literacy and connected learning as it emerges and evolves. And if you're wondering who we are, you can click on the community link and see that we have thousands of educators actually around the country and the world who are exploring these ideas with us. So I think that's a decent overview.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think so, yeah. I just wanted to add that what makes this resource wonderful is our community, our network, and I think that there is an open invitation to share your work within this context, and that's part of what we're trying to do together here in this short video, is a kind of how-to to add to the collection here. Or
Yeah.
to create officially collections, but also to add generally to this site itself.
Great. I'm glad you said that. And I wanted to just, I'll point out a couple ways that people can do that right away. So blogs are a part of the website that are always open. So if you join, and I don't want to log out. Well, I guess I can log out. I can log out here. If you haven't logged into the site or joined the site yet, you can log in here and or join and become a member. And then once you become a member and you log in, then you can just create a blog straight away. You'll end up with a link up here that says add a blog post. So you're welcome to contribute to Digitaliz through writing blog posts, and you can also respond to other people's content once you're a member of the community. Then we have resources, and as you saw, some people are working on draft resources right now. And if you go down here to ways to participate, it kind of explains a little bit more what all the different ways you can participate, but it sort of talks about creating a resource here. And I don't know how much people have looked at this, Mia, but this kind of, like, our goal here is just to give people a sense of the kind of resources that we're looking for, and it's pretty open. And for people to become familiar with the Digitaliz website as a whole before they start creating their own resources in here. But once you have become familiar, that you can read this short thing, and there's a form you can fill out here and just tell us about the resources that you're interested in creating, and we'll give you the ability to do that creating. We also have a few example sites here. And then, Mia, you asked a question from your colleague, Erica, about
Yes.
how other people might be able to curate a collection, right?
Yes, I just recently had a meeting with Erica Holan, my colleague, and I mentioned to her we were going to create this video about how to create a collection in Digitaliz, and she seemed very interested in creating her own and asked how that might happen. So I thought we could include how to do this in our recording here.
That's great. Okay. So the collections at this point, we've been asking people to curate collections, or people have come to us with ideas about curating a collection. But we would like more and more people to curate collections, and a collection really brings together 4 to 6 resources or so, give or take, and blogs that highlight the cross-cutting themes of collections: the art and craft of digital writing, teaching and learning of connected learning, or provocations that push us to think in new ways. So again, similar to resources, we really would like people to be, familiar with Digitaliz as a website and comfortable with some of the content there, and then to email us with ideas and suggestions and interests about a collection. One of the things that there are less collections in the site than resources, so we sort of want to support people in thinking about resources or collections that help to expand the site, and maybe some resources they'd be less familiar with, because there might be, if they have an idea, there might be some things that they haven't seen yet that are in the site that could be part of that. We also have people who curate collections who invite others to co-construct things with them. So Mia, for example, as someone who's curating a collection, you could invite other people to create resources that could be part of your collection.
Now, I have a question, Chris, because I think it would be pertinent to everybody. When you're creating a collection, does all the content of that collection have to be already something that exists within Digitaliz, or can you pull resources from outside of Digitaliz and have them be a part of the collection within Digitaliz?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, so collections can pull resources from both within the site as well as externally. So
Okay.
you can pull together a collection that brings together a bunch of different elements. Because we're trying to build DigitalIs as a resource, I often will challenge people to say, if there's a resource that you would like to pull in from outside, what if you approached that author and said, the author of that resource, and said, oh, by the way, would you be interested in cross-posting your piece of work in DigitalIs because we think it would be of interest to the DigitalIs community. So often, if someone wants to bring something from outside, it's one way to challenge ourselves and reach out to people and help to build that community. And I'm a really big fan of cross-posting recently. I sort of feel like it helps with the dialogue because something can exist in one website or one journal or one collection, but it has a really different life in another context, right? So
absolutely, yeah.
So anyway, so yes, the answer is yes, and the answer is, you know, we can also maybe bring some of that content into the site. What I really like to do though, there's so much content in DigitalIs. It's one of the reasons that I really like to have a chance to talk about a collection with folks, because I don't think if there's an idea about a collection and there's nothing in DigitalIs that's related to that, that would surprise me, actually. Or, actually, I mean, another really good example, another thing that collections can prompt is that if you want to curate an idea, so here's an example. So Danielle Filipiak looked at DigitalIs, and she was really interested in you know, literacy, the ways that literacies like youth literacy is being supported. Well, this probably wasn't exactly her question. I think she was interested in who was posting and who was not in DigitalIs, and she was noticing that we don't have as many African American educators. And then she also was thinking about youth literacy and interests, and she started looking at hip hop literacy, and there's a lot of African American male teachers in particular doing hip hop literacy work, but they're tending to do it in outside of school spaces. So she deliberately therefore went and worked and started talking to some educators who were doing hip hop literacy in out of school spaces and invited them to publish to DigitalIs. So
I see.
That's like a really cool way to say, oh, I'd love to bring together these ideas at DigitalIs, but actually DigitalIs is kind of lacking in that, in those voices or those ideas or those perspectives. And then to deliberately go and seek people who will share and publish their work in DigitalIs and then curate that work together into a larger collection. So anyway,
that's an interesting model. Is to think of, when developing a collection, is to think about how you can build the community as well through the resources that you hope to post, and it's about relationships basically. So that's interesting. That's a really powerful frame for thinking
really
about
wonderful, actually,
growing it.
Yeah, sorry, I talked over you.
No, that's okay. I think
it's really good to hear Danielle talk about it too. And if you look, this is her part of her meditation on that project here. But
so she talked about the effort to pull together the resources and her observation in like essentially gaps within the site itself before she's.
Yeah, on this one she didn't so much. There's another resource that she wrote about it. That was the collected resource that resulted, I guess. So this remixing literacy in and out of school spaces, and these are such great resources. I'll show them real fast and then Danielle wrote this piece called. She wrote several blog posts as she was doing this. Let's see if I can find her.
That would be interesting to me to see the blog post that she generated as she was developing this, because I have in mind a creation of a new one, and I wanted to see how much she actually generates this sort of references and context, and then how much she relies on invitation, opening an invitation to her colleagues to participate, and what the balance there is. That would be an interesting thing to observe.
Yeah, that's actually fascinating question to actually talk to her about. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I would love to do is really do a DigitalIs webinar at Innovator. So let's mm-hmm. keep that idea in mind, because I think that's a really interesting. You can tell he's written a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to find. I might not be able to find this fast enough. Okay. There's another. I might not be able to find it fast enough. I do know. So this is this piece by D.K. Wright that came out of this. This is one with Bryce Anderson Small, and I know that Bryce, at the end of his resource, actually wrote about collaborating with Danielle in this process.
Oh, that's great.
They videotape themselves here.
Mm-hmm.
So, so there is another piece that Danielle wrote that's about the DigitalIs being a dialectic ecosystem, mm-hmm. and that's maybe this is it. Yeah. So this starts to get into her thinking about DigitalIs as a dialectic ecosystem.
That's
and
great.
How it's all about building relationships and developing it. This is a slightly different project. She did several projects in here. This is a slightly different one, but it gets to the kind of thing that you're talking about exactly, Mia, that like actually curation and the development of resources in DigitalIs is actually about relationship building in many ways, and yeah. So relationships between people, relationships between ideas, dialectic relationships.
Yeah. So it becomes a powerful like space for sort of sharing how ideas and community is generated. So yeah. It's at once a place to find things, but it's also a place to discover relationships with others who have similar ideas. So
it's a nice. Cindy O'Donnell Allen and Taro Garcia have also done some nice stuff in there where they use resources that teachers create. Mm-hmm. So these stories from classrooms, they put them on the syllabus in their courses at the University of Colorado State University. They put them on the syllabuses of their classes. The students go to those resources and give response to the authors. They usually give the teachers a heads up that they're doing this, because suddenly the teachers will get like a whole bunch of comments on their work.
Right.
And then they've had some video interviews, like Google Hangouts, with the teachers. So these are pre-service teachers working towards, their education degree, having an opportunity to talk with working teachers after looking at their work in DigitalIs. And then after that experience, Taro and Cindy have published about that process at DigitalIs, and actually invited some of their grad students to publish about that process too. So that's where it gets, it's another example of where it can get very dialogical in the resource building. So.
Yeah, the reflective aspect of the resource building becomes then a point of further echo of learning processes. It's wonderful.
Yeah. All right, so what are you working on? Maybe you can talk about your projects. You have 2 projects, though, you're working on, right?
The one that I'd like to address as a kind of model for thinking about how to just technically build a collection today is, well, it started with thinking about connected learning and open learning, and then the role it might play within the Summer Institute, the National Writing Project's model of an invitational summer institute. So, Chris, you sort of tagged or were able to find within the broader Digital is resource, or I shouldn't use that word, within the broader Digital is site,
Yeah.
you identified or tagged particular pieces that would support that thinking about both open learning and the Summer Institute and the practices of the Summer Institute.
Right.
So in essence, this collection is about the marriage between open learning and connected learning, and how to think about that within the context of the Invitational Summer Institute, which is a kind of foundational model for the National Writing Project. So we've got some resources lined up, and you can see that on the right-hand column on the screen right now. And we have a frame, which is the title itself, Open Learning and Making, about at the Writing Project Summer Institute. And then we even have an image, because we had a kind of metaphorical understanding of some of how open learning might play a role within the Summer Institute. And the image is of wildflowers. And this idea is spurned from an earlier blog post that I wrote, which would be a part of this collection, on open learning. As when the experience of open learning is a bit like being a dandelion seed floating on the wind in early spring, where you're not quite sure where you're going to land, but you know it's a fertile world out there, and that things are springing up everywhere. That was a sort of metaphorical allusion that I wrote about for the experience of connected learning and participating in the CL MOOC. So the wildflower image, that would be the sort of metaphorical frame for this collection that connects open learning to the ISI, is about the kind of the fruition, the culmination of beauty that comes from a multiplicity of voices sort of emerging at once. So imagine the wildflowers really take off and thrive in the summertime, while the dandelion floating on the wind is a springtime kind of image. So what we have here with the wildflowers is a kind of realization or arrival of multiple blossomings that occur when you marry the ISI to an open learning sensibility and connected learning, and ultimately the CL MOOC with the ISI. So anyway, we have the resources lined up, we have the title, we have the metaphorical image. What's missing here is the brief description that I just offered up in a verbal articulation. Right. And we also want to add one more post to the resources, which was a more recent blog that I did, which literally gets to the heart of the matter. The question is, why connected learning? And I talk about the reason why we've changed our frame at the Kane University Writing Project from a tech track as a choice that a TC might make, like I'm going to pursue tech as one of my specializations during my Summer Institute experience. That was an elective in the past, but it's no longer the case. Now everybody is participating in the CL MOOC. So I write about that in this final blog post that I'd like to add to the collection. And what's up on the screen now is that blog post that was posted last week. So maybe, Chris, you could walk us through how to technically add the blog post to the collection, and then we can talk about you know, how to technically navigate the fields to build a collection.
Great. Okay. Super. So this is great. So I'm looking at a blog that is, you know, listed here also. You can see that I am, and I was thinking I'll do this, Mia, and then I'll switch the controls to you so you can share your screen.
Okay.
But I just wanted to say that I'm logged in as a person who can curate, who can edit blogs, make resources, and curate collections. So I have all the same, although I have some administrative powers too, but I think basically the tools that I see are sort of the same tools you see too, right, Mary? Mia?
I think I actually see three things: view, edit, and let me see what the other one is. Oh, book and revisions. Those are the four categories that are at the top of my screen when I,
yeah.
Yeah, so it's a little different than yours.
Yeah.
Book, okay. So where it says manage display, that one's eliminated, and there's book and then revisions.
Right. That's cool you have revisions. It's good to know. Okay. So yeah, we have slightly different controls because of our
levels of admin. Yeah.
But so this blog post exists here, and this is the collection that both Mia and I can edit. So I'm going to go into edit mode for a second here and just this is the back end of how to curate a collection. And there are two tabs. So there's the collection, which is the sort of main, let me open this in another window, kind of the main body of the collection. And then there's another tab here that deals with the collection entries, or otherwise known as the resources connected to a collection. Mm-hmm. So collection is this part here, and these are the resources over here. So I'm going to go into, just to show you what the collection looks like, we're in a private draft now, but there's the ability to make it various levels of visibility to other people. I think we should talk about the title, Mia. I was thinking, like, maybe it's open learning making, maybe it's connected learning. I mean,
we could be very direct about it and call it connected learning in the ISI or in the Summer Institute. I don't know. I think that might be just a less opaque. I mean, it's more direct, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. In the invitational, if I can spell summer, right? Like that? Yep. Okay. We put it in the teaching and learning section. We gave it keywords or tags is another way. We left it with its default license, which is that people can share it, but they have to attribute it and share it similarly. There's space for Mia to put an overview here, and there's space for Mia to write what she talked about here.
Mm-hmm.
And
so I have just a brief question. The difference between overview and description, how would that manifest on the front end? Is it two different parts? Like if you think of the image of the wildflowers, is overview, how would we see the difference between those two things, overview and description?
Good question. So if I look at the post itself, this would be description. Is
okay.
This image. This is where the biggest area here relates to the main post.
Okay, so that's the bulk of the writing. Yes.
That's the bulk of the writing. Yeah. So, but if you click on collections, and you see these little blurbs that are related.
Oh, okay.
So basically, if you see all the collections in a list, then you're looking at the overview rather than the description.
Got it. That was a very enlightening moment.
You know, stuff is not as intuitive as we would like it to be. So, you know, I totally think it's a great question. I'm glad we're doing this because it's like these questions that, you know, I'm sure other people have too, because it is a little confusing. So the overview would be basically the way I would do it is I would write the description first and then take the first few sentences of the description and put them in the overview. So
that makes total sense to me.
So and then the picture is here, and if Mia wanted to change the picture, she could do it this way. So I'm going to go back up to the top and I'm going to click on collection entries. Because collection entries are really, this is how we get the blog post to relate to this resource. So if we go back here to Mia's collection, you'll see that Hacking Tools and Sparking Revolutions is a resource here. This resource actually was created by our friend, Jen Cook, who is from the Rhode Island Writing Project, and she posted this last year. So we wanted to pull it into the collection as a really beautiful example of how this kind of creative and critical thinking impacted work at the Rhode Island Writing Project.
Mm-hmm.
So, so if you go back, I'm sorry to be switching around so much. If you go back to the edit mode, you'll see that it's the very first thing up here. So I picked an internal resource, picked her resource, and we selected an image for it.
Mm-hmm.
Then Mia. So this is a little confusing. Actually, every time I get in here, Mia, I think, oh, this is so confusing. So we could have picked an external resource, or we could have picked an internal resource. If it's an internal resource, the way that you do it is you start to write the
I see.
title.
It comes up.
Yeah, so I've just typed in hacking, and it pulls up everything that has hacking in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can see hacking tools and pick that.
Mm-hmm.
If I was to do an external resource, I could, like, here's something that is on my computer right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could also put the title of this here. Put the URL of this here.
Got it.
But then I'd want to get rid of this, you know, because
right. It's either one or the other. So if you fill out the internal resource field, then you leave the external resource alone because obviously it's not external. Got it.
So I'll just put hacking toys back here. I will delete this other one because we don't have we don't want to link to an external resource. We want to keep it an internal resource.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do media when we do. I'll show you how to do the media when we do the next. Do a new one. And then there's this thing called rationale, and I just want to. This is also a little confusing. So you can see. Can you see your resource again?
Yes.
So you see that it pulls the title of your resource, and it pulls the little image that we put in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then here, it's got space, and right now it just says site perspective.
Got it.
That is what's called the rationale.
Mm-hmm.
So Mia would edit this and describe, you know, like why this resource is part of her collection.
Got it. So I could say this is a site director's perspective on the on hacking the make cycle on hacking toys or something like this.
Yeah, and its impact on the writing project,
right,
in the local context or something. So it gives a little bit of understanding, like why you picked it.
Exactly. It's just like one sentence understanding of why it's in the collection.
Yeah, and then it'll show up under. Oops, sorry. It'll show up under here. This little caret gets you to that, and so all collections have this little feature.
Okay.
So let's try to add your blog. So I'm going to go past. So this is the first one. Here's the second one. We've already put all these in, right?
Scrolling down.
Yeah. And we've got several in there. So we're going to just go all the way down.
One thing I was worried about is that big font that exists in that one, does that needs to be changed, or does it sort of?
Yeah, so here what you want to do, I think that you want to take out that rationale, because here you've got this link, right, because you said it was an internal resource. If I click on it, it'll go to that site. And then people can read it. Okay. But what you have in the back end is you put the rationale, you sort of republished it here. Yeah, it's a double. Yeah. So and it doesn't really work. No, it doesn't. Yeah. It won't be that readable the way the site's designed. So I kind of like it as like I could see the site being designed that way, but right now it isn't. So I'm just going to take that out.
And so rationale is just simply about, experience of CL MOOC for site direct for, from one site director's perspective or something like this.
Yeah.
I'll clean that up later, but thank you for the signpost.
Yeah. And the other thing that you want to do here, because I can see that right now, like this, all these have images, but this one doesn't have an image.
Oh yes, it doesn't have an icon on the left-hand side, yeah.
And it's a problem of the site, again, that I think that the website isn't designed so it pulls an image automatically. I wish it did, like Facebook, like how it pulls an image.
Yeah.
But in this case, you have to so what if we associate this image? Would that be okay?
Yeah. That
it's
one's
a cool image.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect one for what the whole piece is about.
Okay. So I'm just going to put this on my desktop for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can, when you're here, you can select the media.
Oh, okay. That's what that is. Got it.
Yeah.
It's that side image. Okay.
Now, what's interesting is I can browse and I can grab it from my desktop here.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, you've already uploaded it because in your blog post.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to see if I can find a dandelion image. Dandelion. Might not be able to find it that way. Oh, sorry. This is the problem with, probably not the best way to do this, but okay. So let me go back down. I hit the wrong key. Oops. I'm going to take this out again.
Yeah. Thanks.
And then I'm going to just select this from my desktop.
Mm-hmm.
So I pull that in. I upload it. Then I submit it. And now it's going to ask me about its license, right? So this is not an image that I made or you made, right?
Right.
And the default image, the default license is to make it shareable, but it's not our image, so we have to say no license, all rights reserved.
Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then you could put an alternate title and an alternate text in here. And then technically on the resource itself, it should be, there should be an attribution where it came from or whatever. But
okay.
Here, I'm going to write Mia will add to the rationale.
Right. Yep.
And so if we, and then let me add this other blog post while we're at it, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you do that by adding another item.
Okay.
Mia, you should be doing this, actually. Why don't I stop? See, I'm going to save what I've done already. Then we can look at, so let's look and see if it held. So if we go down here, yeah, so now there's a little image associated with that post.
Yeah, that's nice and sort of balanced.
Yeah.
Okay. So really it's now, with the addition of the post we're about to put on there, the content is all there, and then I just need to clean up the rationale and add my frame narrative in the front and I'll do that immediately.
So why don't you go and why don't you share your screen and you can edit that post.
Okay, so I hope I do this right. I might need a little guidance.
That's okay.
I'm going to click on screen share, correct?
Yeah, so over on the left, click on screen
Mhm.
share, and then it
And
asks
then,
you which screen you want to share.
so I guess I want to go, where is
You can
it?
do sort of
Google
like the
Hands.
whole desktop or just
If I
the
do the whole desktop, then you'll see, it's a reiterate. Oh, wait, hold on, maybe.
But if you
Okay.
just share your browser, then we only
Uh-huh.
see what you're doing on your browser. Like we won't see your Twitter feed or anything like that.
Uh, I think I've got, if I do it
Yep,
wrong,
I can see
how,
myself, so that's right.
and can you see now the
Yep,
resource up?
yep, that
Okay.
looks great.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. So I'm going to go into edit.
Yep.
And from there, I have two tabs to choose from, collection or collection entries. I'll click here for collection entries.
Yep.
Then we have the same screen where we scroll down all the different resources, and I'll finally get to the bottom where I can add another item. There it is. So I click on add another item.
Yeah.
And now I have to remember what the name of my blog post is. Do you happen to remember the name of it?
Yeah, let's look at it. It's true. All you need is a name, but sometimes you don't. Why connected learning? Question
Oh,
mark.
why? Yeah. Why? Does it have a hashtag in the connected
No,
learning?
it's
No?
not.
Okay.
Nope.
There it is. So we leave the external resource because it certainly isn't an external resource. Now we'll want to select some media. Now, that'll be tricky in that I have to remember what was
Let's go to
there.
the library because you just recently published this.
Okay, yeah, it might be in my library.
Might
Oh,
be.
there's the dandelion.
Yeah.
Um,
Zombie picture. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. What do you suggest, Chris?
You went to the very end of images, so these are really old.
Okay, so let's go to first,
First,
and then go to next.
yeah.
Okay. A little bit more, maybe?
Yeah. There was a bunch of folks who published recently, so we're seeing their stuff.
I think, oh, see a lot of zombies. I think that there is a paper circuitry image that's there on that thing, and also an electronic literature image.
Yeah, those are the ones I was thinking about too.
Well,
finding it. Okay, not seeing it.
maybe upload, and I'll try to look in my own computer.
Okay.
I see paper circuitry and interventions. These are the two. I'm not sure which one to choose.
The one that you have here, I think the interventions one is so pretty.
Okay, I chose that one. Let's see what happens. Did it go? Yes. So submit, and let's see if it goes. Yep.
Yeah.
And then, so that's just left there, and then eventually I'll fill out rationale. We can move on from.
Leave it blank for now, yeah.
Yeah. So then, oops. So then I'll continue down so I can make sure this is saved.
Yep.
Save. And then we can look at the front end and see that indeed it has been connected, placed there. So now I know exactly how to finish this up. Just go through, as I said, just go through the rationale and clean that up, and then add my post in the front, and also have the briefer version for the sort of tag in when you're looking at all the collections and the choices of collections.
Yeah, that's great. You know what? The title change we made when we first started, because I accidentally popped out of it.
Yeah.
Maybe you could go in and make that title change.
Sure. I'll do that right now because I don't want to forget what we changed it to either. So I have to go into collection this time because that's in the front end. And then what call it again?
It was connected learning in the invitational and I'm not sure, the invitational Summer Institute.
How about and the oops. Okay.
Great.
So the rest we'll keep, and I'll just make sure it's saved. And then we can see that change on the front end. Yep.
Yep, great. So Mia, I was just wondering if you're comfortable with this. So we can you let me know how you feel. But I was sort of thinking like it'd be great to. We only have a few minutes left.
What did I just do? I'm so sorry. Did
Turn
you
off.
see?
I know it's really funny. It's like the infinity screen, right?
Exactly. What should I do to undo it?
So just turn your screencast off.
Okay, there we go.
And it happens several times. It happens a lot, great. But for me, I couldn't tell you how to do the infinity screen. But it does happen sometimes.
It's a double click on the screen share. It's like screen share forever.
Screen share forever. Yep. So I was thinking maybe if you wanted to talk about the other collection you were interested in doing.
Sure.
Because I have a feeling that that might be something that you actually do want to ask some colleagues to contribute to some things, or well, anyway, maybe you could talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So the collection that I'm really enthusiastic to build for Digital is a collection on electronic literature, which is my new research passion. I'm really excited about literature that's born within a digital medium and needs computational processes to read. So a lot of electronic literature is interactive fiction or hypertext fiction or generative fiction. So I'm very enthusiastic about it. I just returned from the Digital Humanities Summer Institute, where I spent a week working with scholars and artists on the whole field of electronic literature. So I have this wonderful idea of creating a collection for Digital because ultimately I want to share that world with my writing project world. It's sort of marrying two communities together, which has always been the nexus of the most productive aspects of my work life. I always notice that you've got one thing going in one sort of one part of your identity, and you've got another thing going in another. But there's so much synchronicity in your own mind. But when you bring other people into the conversation, a lot happens. Yeah. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity to be able to work with other ELIT scholars who are out there and thinking about getting the word out about the field. This is an emerging field within literary studies. So I could invite some people to share some of the review work that they did at the Digital Humanities Summer Institute in a blog post form that they would post on Digital and then that would become the basis for the resources that I could pull together and present as a kind of overview frame of why this emerging field of literary studies is important within the broader world of digital literacies, which it indeed is. Yeah. So I'm really excited about it, but I also am realizing as I think about it, because my first approach in my mind was just to sort of do it all, meaning like churn out all the blog posts and get all the links and make all the external resources, and there it is. Everybody check this out. It's ELIT. But I like the sort of flip switch to inviting a few of the friends I made in the Digital Humanities Summer Institute who are also just as enthusiastic about electronic literature to write, and most likely they've already written something. So it's just a matter, as you said before, of the possibility of cross-posting, right, and then generating a broader and richer and multi-voiced resource. I mean, collection. We have to use the right terms.
So just a few reactions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So initial reaction is I'm totally psyched. That's really exciting. And there's nothing like that on its face that I'm familiar with in Digital is right now. So it'll be a huge contribution. I think that's really exciting to bring these sort of communities together and invite that kind of participation. I think that's lovely. I'm really excited. I was thinking that I've heard you talk about one of the connections, at least, that you've made and you've made me think about is sort of like your thinking about electronic literature is also related to sort of like realizing like to really understand it, you don't just read it, you have to also write it or create it.
Exactly. exactly.
So that there's a lot in DigitalIs that points to that kind of shift in being a creative, a writer as well as a reader, and that interface.
Exactly.
So it might be that there's some things to point to that are in DigitalIs that would help support that kind of argument. So that's just one idea.
Okay, that's a great idea.
And then, and then I was thinking that the way that you can link to external resources is probably going to be super helpful for this resource, for this collection, because I imagine that some of that electronic literature lives in its own space, right? Like you couldn't actually move it.
Exactly. Yeah. Basically, there are collections that I would like to draw people's attention to that they can go and surf and explore, etc.
Yeah. So that I think is a really great reason to be able to also link to external resources. So yeah, that's super exciting. I love that.
Yeah, I am excited about it too. So now this tutorial, which hopefully was a how-to make on our part that shared with everyone else.
Yeah, so we're going to post it, right?
We're going to post it, and we're hopefully going to guide others to create collections. But it also just was the finishing touch, because I have to say those few light bulb moments within the past hour were key to me being able to move forward with the plans I have. You know, just knowing those few little tweaks in the system itself so that I could navigate it more easily. So.
And I would just say again that we're trying to make collections as well as resources and make the process of being a creator of one more transparent. And we realize that right now it's not a huge level, there isn't a huge level of transparency around it. But just to reiterate, before we post this for people, that you can post blogs by becoming a member of DigitalIs. And you can respond to others and share their work and respond to anything they did in there by becoming a member. If you'd like to make a resource, there is, under ways to participate in the footer, there is a form linked to let us know the resource that you're interested in, and we will change your administrative privileges so that you can create resources. And then at this point, until we come up with a better process, we're asking for people who have ideas about collections, so like your idea for this electronic literature collection, to email us directly. So right now the email is nwpdigitalis@nwp.org. And email us with your ideas and your interest. And then actually we'll do a conference of some sort. It doesn't have to be broadcast. But we'll do a conference of some sort to sort of talk through the ideas, imagine what resources are still in DigitalIs, that kind of thing. So it's just a little bit, it's like we just want to talk to you about it before we give you that privilege in the system. The other system privilege that being a curator gives you, although, Mia, just to say this, I think it's not working right now, so as soon as I get it working, I'll send you an email and let you know. But as a curator, now that you're a curator, you should be able to make other people resource creators. So if you really wanted someone else to create a resource, you could just make them a resource creator and not have them go through like signing up in a form and everything. So that's the other reason that the curators have a little bit more administrative ability in the site. So we just want people to know how to do those things and what they can do in the site once they get in there. But we really are open to ideas about collections and curations, and we really want more people to be curators. So we're going to try to both make the process more transparent, but please do email us at nwpdigitalis@nwp.org.
Awesome. I have one last thing to add because it floated through my head as I was listening to you. The way I got into Digital Is and posting was just simply cross-posting. So I would post something on my own blog, and then I thought, I better drop that down to Digital Is because those folks might be interested in this, and otherwise they might not know about my blog post. And there's so many amazing blog posts that are coming out of CL MOOC. So for those of you who are out there that are blogging within the context of CL MOOC, remember, you can cross-post what you've done onto Digital Is too, and then from there build the site even more and be a part of a broader community. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's excellent. Thank you. I'm glad you. Thanks for thinking of saying that too, and for doing it in the first place. It's awesome.
Sometimes it's just a matter of like telling yourself that you're not plagiarizing yourself by cross-posting. Sometimes people think that way.
I know. It's like we have some barrier.
I wrote that. Yeah, it's some strange thing like, oh, I wrote that already. It stays in that one place. That's the wrong way to think about these things.
Yeah, let's get it out all over.
Yeah, exactly. Spread the word.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you, Mia. This is awesome. I'm really glad we had a chance to do this.
Yeah, it was fun, and I learned a lot. And I promise you, I'm going to finish that collection right now, and everyone can see it.
Yay! Really excited. Thanks for doing that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. See ya.
Bye-bye.